Hey guys, Mel the Train Tutor here with a bit of it's sort of a product overview, comes sort of an experiment sort of thingy. Anyway, what I'm doing is, I'm comparing spray adhesives, yeah, with PVA for sticking down our flock to our terrain. Now it's a bit busy in my house at the minute. The wife's had, pretty major surgery, and so it's all hands on deck, and I haven't got much time to do much terrain stuff. But I was doing this experiment and I thought, I'll bring you along, for the ride. So we're learning together. As who says that? Mike says that. We're learning together. Anyway, right. Typically when it comes to putting down flock on our war games terrain, yeah, we use PVA. Yeah, it's cheap, it's easy to use, it's easy to clean, it works well. There's only a couple of downsides to it, one of them being the warpage. Now warpage is a big issue when it comes to terrain boards, and I've been looking at different ways of getting flock onto terrain boards and reducing the warpage, yeah. So I'm going to give a spray rubber glue a go, a fast tack. Now this is Bostik, there's various other glues available. Now this is nothing new to terrain building and hobbying, okay? This stuff is the stuff that you use when you're making trees and hedges, okay? This is just basically a bottle brush that's been sprayed with this, okay, and then dipped into flock and left to dry. So, it's not a new glue by any means, yeah? But it's rarely used for actually putting down flock on a surface. Okay, and the reason for that is it's really sort of difficult to control, yeah, because it's a broad spray, whereas with the PVA you can use your brush and put it exactly where you want. So I thought I'd have a play and see, for large terrain boards that are going to be mainly flocked, what can you do with it? Because at the end of the day you can mask off rock faces and small rock outcroppings. You can, those sort of things are doable. So I'm quite interested to see how this is going to go. Now if you're interested in the results of all this, yeah, I'll throw a link up and you can skip to the end and just see what the final results are, yeah. But in the meantime we're just going to crack through. Now I've got two large pieces of of MDF that have been painted with a dark brown, and they're actually got these tapes on to separate them. Now that'll come in a second bit, in just a minute, after we've done the actual gluing. Yeah, I've also got two thin strips. Now if there's anything that will warp, okay, it is long thin strips. Yeah, so what I'm hoping to do is basically glue flock down to both of those and compare the warping factor, because I know they will warp. That will warp with PVA put on it, yeah, so I want to compare the warping factor, and that's the easiest way I can think of doing it. Yeah, now these have got these separate sections because I'm quite interested in sealing it as well, yeah, because it's going to be played on with the trees, yeah. This isn't actually really well stuck on. The reason being is that you rarely come along and pull bits off it. No one really messes with it except to pick it up and move it around and place it on the table. Okay, so you don't have to worry about the bond being as strong as you would on a gaming table where people are rolling dice, putting terrain on it, moving models across it, leaning on it. Okay, so yeah, flock on tables and base terrain pieces really need sealing. Yeah, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to look at a quick experiment, and I'm going to look at sealing with watered down PVA and also hairspray, yeah, as someone recommended to me. Yeah, so I'm going to give that a go as well. So first off, what we need to do is we need to do our PVA. Yeah, now I am not going to insist that you sit here and watch me brush PVA on. So what I'll do is I'll crack on with this, and no doubt the video will skip to where it's all PVA'd and ready to put the flock on. Or in fact, I'll probably skip to where the flock's all already on it. You know how to flock. I'm going to get a brush, I'm going to paint it up and down, yeah, and I'm going to pour flock over it. Simples. I've just invalidated probably one of my tutorials there. Alright, I'll crack on. So our PVA pieces are done, and you can see where I've pulled off the tape to separate into squares. Okay, and all we've really got to do now, although it's tack dry, yeah, is I've just got to leave that to fully dry. Okay, so I'm going to leave these overnight. I'm going to leave the rubberized spray one overnight as well. Yeah, so put those on over there. We've got our warp test. I'm going to put that on there, which is pretty flat. That's glass, it's got to be flat. And we've got our, we've got our pieces for the spray. So, this stuff, obviously you've got to shake it. Yeah, it comes out a bit like squirty, like wet squirty string. Okay, it is messy. Yeah, in fact, knowing how messy it is. And be warned, yeah, this stuff is a nightmare to get off things, yeah? So, be careful. So what I'm going to do is, I'm going to give these a nice liberal coat, yeah? I'll peel off my tape, and then we'll sprinkle on the flock. So. There you go. Now just so you know, the coverage of this, one can will pretty much do a 6x4 table. Yeah, so peel this off, you can see how rubbery it is. Don't like it. Just because it's a nightmare, get off your fingers and that sort of stuff. If you do need to get it off anything, baby wipes or alcohol strips work really well. So, now we've got all that on, it's time to flock. Okay, and I'm going very liberally because I don't want to waste all my flock onto on the newspaper, because it will stick to the newspaper where it's oversprayed. Now, I'm going to give this a couple of minutes to dry before I shake it off, so we'll come back in a couple of minutes. Okay guys, that's the spraying, the flocking and everything done. I've just cleaned up my work area a little. The wife's in hospital, mate, don't worry. She won't see it yet. Okay, this is the PVA one, and as you can see, we're looking at what I'd probably call 98, 99% coverage. It's a nice solid coverage. Okay, so that's quite good. Yeah, if we go to the spray, yeah, on flat surfaces, unlike trees and stuff like that, as you can see, yeah, if I hold it like that, it's very shiny because of the rubber. But if I hold it like that, you can start to see. You're probably looking at, probably say about 90% coverage, 85 at a push. Okay, now, actually it's not that bad, you know. I know it looks, but if you look at it like that, it's very broken ground. It's doable, okay, on first impressions, but I'm not going to judge this completely until it's dried tomorrow. Now we've got 2 grass strips up here, yeah, we'll see how they warp. Yeah, and we'll come back to this in the morning when it's all dry, and you know, we can look at sealing it and what effects that has and if it improves it, all that sort of stuff. So, I'll see you in the morning, which will be about a second for you. See you in a minute. Right guys, it's pretty late in the evening now. It's all dried, so I thought I'd seal it now so I could check it in the morning. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to seal this side, i.e. these 2 pieces, with hairspray. Okay, and this piece as well, but it's the only can we've got in the house. I've just grabbed it and there's not much in it, so we'll have to see how we go. Yeah, these 2 pieces and that piece we're going to do with watered down PVA. It's a 50-50 mix with a little bit of flow aid in. And the 2 middle pieces we're going to leave at our control pieces, i.e. unsealed. So, let's do our hairspray first. Yeah, and I'll just put that there to protect that. Definitely dampening it up. Now you are supposed to put a heavy coating on of this, so hammer it on. Okay, and that'll do us. Right, over to the watered down PVA. So, go to the other side. Yeah, put that down there. Give it a good drenching. I know you can see big white spots, but it is all getting soaked. Because you can see it spreading. There you go. I'll just lift that off there. And there we go. Right. Proof is in the pudding. So what we'll do is we'll leave these to dry overnight, and then we'll come back to them in the morning and actually see what the results are and see if spraying with a rubberized aerosol spray for a sticking nail flock is a viable method, and whether sealing with hair lacquer works. So let's see in the morning. Hey guys, it's the morning, it's all dry and it's ready to experiment with. Now as you can see, I've changed the camera position so you can get a nice good look. And just to remind you, what we've got here is the flock glued down with PVA, the flock glued down with with spray adhesive. These sides have not been sealed, these sides have been sealed with watered down PVA, these sides have been sealed down with hairspray. So let's have a look at them. Now first and foremost, the traction on these pieces isn't going to be as good as a normal terrain board, and that's because the flock's glued down to a completely flat surface. Whereas if it was a textured surface, yeah, it'd adhere better. Yeah, so if we look at let's compare just basically adhesion. Now that's PVA, as you expect, even unsealed, pretty damn good. Yeah, the rubber, no, I'm not happy with that unsealed. Look at it, it's all coming off, and you can see where it's sprayed down just very quickly. I shouldn't have rubbed, I should have just talked about the pattern first, but it didn't get the same sort of coverage either, as you can see. So not 100% for unsealed, to be perfectly honest, not impressed with that. Right, let's move on to the sealed with PVA. Now the PVA glued down, sealed with the PVA, yeah, rock solid, rock solid. Now the as you would expect, I mean that's why, you know, we do it with our terrain pieces. Now with the with the spray glue sealed with watered down PVA, that's also rock solid. You see, it's got over this issue, it's sealed it down. Yeah, so the bonding in that situation is far more the watered down PVA. I expected that to be a certain extent because I was expecting the watered down PVA to drop down to seal it. Now when I did spray it, what I noticed is that this side sunk in and soaked up, whereas because this is a rubber adhesive, the water sat on top and made a very solid layer. Now there's a slight change, this is a little bit lighter than this one, this is a bit matter. Yeah, but nothing too excessive and nothing that would make it unusable. So that is viable. Yeah, as long as you're happy with a slightly broken pattern, that's viable. Okay, now if I move around to this side, yeah, this is where we sealed it with hairspray. Now, first off, the the PVA one. Do you know what? That's pretty damn good. That really is pretty damn good. Okay, let's try the the rubber spray sealed with hairspray. Okay. So it's a bit stickier, but it's not going to last. It's not going to last any serious gaming. Right, so purely from looking at this and the experiment I've done, the rubber adhesive is only really good, yeah, if you're looking at watered down PVA to seal it. Okay, so if you want to use a spray adhesive like I did, yeah, it still needs sealing with watered down PVA. But if you use if you use PVA to seal it down, to glue the flock down, then sealing it with hairspray works really well. Okay, basically what I think we're looking at here is the glue factor and the sealing factor. Okay, and basically PVA, as we know, is a far better glue than the spray adhesive, than the hairspray. So as long as it's in the mix somewhere, it's going to hold. I.e. whether it's holding the initial down to be sealed with hairspray, or whether it's sealing on top of rubber. Now I am quite impressed with that, which does make me wonder whether that would reduce the warping on a board. Okay, and the only way I'm going to find out is by giving it a go on a board, to be truthful. Now the other test that we did was to have a look at how much these have warped, these strips. Now this is a PVA one, this is the rubber and the glue one. And if I put them together, I need to, yeah, there is a slight warping with the PVA one. You can see a very slight gap. Okay, I know I've put them on the glass. I don't even know if you can see where I'm putting them on the glass. Can you? Right. See right at the top of the screen there? Yeah, well basically you've got a slight gap there. Yeah, and none there. So the rubber and the hairspray works best for controlling warping, which is what we expected. It doesn't have the contracture. Yeah, but it's the coverage. I do think way forward, yeah, that's still viable, completely viable. Okay, i.e. glue it down with PVA, seal with PVA. That's also viable. Glue it down with PVA, seal it with hairspray. That's viable. Yeah, glue it down with spray adhesive, seal it with with watered down PVA. Yeah, that's not viable, obviously. So there you have it, guys. I think what we need to do now is sort of test it on a larger surface with a few more things and see if we can use the spray adhesive, yeah, and the hairspray. No, not, and watered, yes, the spray adhesive to glue it down, and then seal it with watered down PVA, and we'll see what sort of results we get with that. Yeah, so I suppose that's the next experiment I've got to do. Alright guys, my shed's coming today, so I'm sort of excitedly looking out the window. Yeah, I've decided on a name. It's going to be called the Whatchamacallit Tavern. Yeah, one, because, you know, it's got to be whatchamacallit. It's in virtually every video. And tavern, because beer will be drunk in it. Anyway, guys, I'm going to crack on playing with this and see if I can come up with something more interesting for you. Yeah, and on a larger piece. Yeah, and we'll see if it's viable. And if it isn't, well, you know, that's the point of doing experiments. Yeah, if it is viable, then I'm really hoping that it will give me a way of of doing thinner boards, textured with my filler method. Yeah, and then and then basically to reduce the warping and get thinner boards out. But that's what I'm playing with anyway. But next experiment coming soon, guys. All the best. Right. Well, there's a splurb, isn't there? Yeah, if you like the video, like it. If you think someone would find it interesting, share it. If you're new to the channel and you like terrain and experiments and product reviews and me saying whatchamacallit and yeah lots of times, then subscribe. And finally, if you really like what I do and you want to support me, throw me a buck on Patreon. Yeah, there's a link at the bottom for all that malarkey. Don't worry if you're not interested, it's cool. But if you are, yeah, it's always appreciated, guys. Yeah. Anyway, I'm going to crack on. I'm going to get that big board out and we're going to have a play with that. Right, see you soon, guys. All the best. Ta-ra!